Hey guys, we're breaking the routine for this video and doing a Monday night release. This is to coincide with a friend of mine's YouTube channel, Phil at Peak Classic Cars. He's a very good friend of mine, and we're doing a shoot of his XKR. It's a night shot, and with a bit of luck you'll have a nice shot on screen in a moment.
So it's wet, it's dark, and we're going out for a shoot. This one's a bit of a collaboration with a friend of mine who runs Peak Classic Cars. I've known Phil for years, and we've been good friends for a very long time. And I'm just taking a picture of an XKR that he's selling at the moment. And we planned out this trip a little while ago to go to a place I've shot a couple of times before in the evening. And it does some great nighttime photography. It's only about 20 minutes away, so we're just going to head up there now and get a shot of his very nice XKR, which is behind us at the moment. And we're going to go a bit wacky and artistic with a blue light, hopefully, as well as a white light. The white light I've done a couple of times before. Blue light will be a first for me, so I don't know how that will go, but hopefully it will look good. I'm going to do something called light painting, where you take a long exposure picture and then wave a light bar over the vehicle and really bring out the lines of it, and that's quite fun to do. Tonight I'm on the VFR. I'm on that for two reasons. One, because it was at the front of the carport, and two, because if Phil decides he wants to have a little race, I'll beat him on this, whereas the Deville would lose. Not that we would do that on a public road. The XKR, we went out in that earlier, and it is a quick car. It's 400 and something horsepower. It's a fast one, and it sounds amazing too. It's a cracking vehicle, so I do really like that one. I'll pop a link up to his channel, Peak Classic Cars. It is worth a watch. The place we're going to is a factory which has some cool canisters, large tanks outside of it, and it's quite nicely lit up on an evening. So I'll be using quite a narrow aperture to make the most of those, get some sun stars around the lights. So I'll like to be over f11 on the aperture. I do expect this to be at the 28mm end of the spectrum to try and get everything in. I will set the tripod up probably on the opposite side of the road to the vehicle, and I'll show you the setup and what we do when we're there. I've done pictures twice at this venue before, my wife's Herald and this VFR, and it is a great spot. It's just near East Midlands Designer Outlet, just off junction 28 of the M1, or the A38 if you come that way. And I've never had any trouble doing night shots there. Sometimes you get overzealous security guards at places, but this place has always been decent for me. So it's just up here on the right. We'll be there in a couple of minutes now. So we'll pull up, get set up, and then rejoin you when we're taking the shot. In terms of equipment, we do need a tripod for this because we are doing long exposure. I've brought the 28-70 f2 lens for today. We'll use some slow shutter. We'll be looking at something in the several seconds, probably 10 to 20 seconds, and probably ISO 100. We're shooting on the Canon R5. We will be manually focusing today. I want to make sure the focus doesn't change between shots, so that's quite important. And I'll probably be using my my phone to drive the camera rather than actually pressing buttons on it to make sure it's in exactly the same position for each shot. We will be stacking probably about 10 photos together to make the final image tonight, so it's important that that stays still.
For our settings today, we were using slow shutter speed, so this was dropped right down to 15 seconds. You can only go as far as 0.5 seconds unless you change to mechanical shutter. At that point you can drop right down as low as 30.
So 15 seconds was where the shot was taken. We did also use a 20 and a 25 second for the backdrop. Now with all that light coming in, we need to do two things to compensate. The aperture needs to be made smaller, which means a bigger number, and we were up at f14. And secondly, the ISO, the sensitivity to light, needed to be brought right down to 100. So with mechanical shutter, 15-second exposure at f14 with an ISO of 100, we just had the focus to consider. Now, subject to detect could have been set to vehicles, but instead it was set to manual. So with manual focus, I could zoom in on live view and then tweak the focus to exactly where I wanted and know it wasn't going to change between shots. We were single shooting, there were no bursts required, and it was JPEG as usual. So there are our settings for today. So this photo was taken as Phil was finishing off his YouTube channel's update for the XKR. You'll see that tonight released at the same time. And then we move over to the final shots at our destination. There were some cracking pictures taken, some nice composite images. I did like playing with the blue and deliberately pushed that further than I should have, but it was fun to play with. This one's a little bonus picture that I did the next day after the photo shoot. And it was really just playing with some of those colours in an artistic way, but less bold on the blue. And that gives quite a nice finish. Okay, so we're just back from the photo shoot and we're going to have a quick look through and see what we've got. That is overexposed on the lights. That's better and that's usable, so we'll keep that last one. That's useful as well. Between those two pictures, we'll make most of the background. And this is where we start illuminating the car. So there's some good ones at the front there, the screen, floor around it's good to have. That one's a bit overexposed, but I repeated that, that's right. I pointed the light at the lens, so I took that one again. Good side profile, got the front quarter and the bumper. That's nice. Got the mirrors, nice one of the roof. I probably won't use the windscreen there. That might do the windscreen. And we've got the skirts. And then we move into some of the blues. So this was new for me. I've not tried the blue light bar before, but I really like the effect this had on the grey. I'm trying to decide whether to do, I got a bit artistic there, to do a white shot and a blue shot, or start with a white and add the blue. Yeah, we've been a bit creative towards the end. So did blue all around the car and a few red ones as well. That one, that was just lighting the side of the car. I'm going to lose that one. So I think we're keeping every other shot. Okay, so we'll start moving into the editing process now. So we need to open a lot of files, and I don't want them as individual images that I then have to pull into one single image. So if you go to Scripts on the File menu and Load Files into Stack, you can select all the images that you want to use, and it will import all of those as different layers in the same image. And that's exactly what we need to do here. So I'll let that load all of the images and then we'll start manipulating them. We have a lot of layers, guys. Okay, so we need to turn all these layers off. I don't want to go through and click one at a time. So if I hold Shift and drag my mouse over the layers, it will turn off all of them in one go. So this is a nice quick way of turning off lots and lots of layers. Okay, so the way the layers are loaded is the first layer will be the first image selected, which is the most likely to be our background. It was a choice between these top two. So this second one has better sun stars. So what I'll do is I'll switch those around. So my dark layer's on top, and I'll put a layer mask on this one. And I'll paint that entirely black with the bucket tool. And that gets rid of the whole layer. Then I'll move to the brush tool with a white brush, and I'll use quite a large brush for this with a soft edge, and I'm going to drop my opacity down to about 20%, and I'm going to go for probably about 800 pixels and just start toning down this light. I need to be careful I don't end up with an unnatural effect, but I don't want the level of brightness I've currently got. Okay, I think that's going to be okay. Now we'll just darken these canisters a little bit as well. Okay, I'll disable the layer mask. Okay, I think we brought that through quite well. So I'm going to merge those two layers as my background layer. Okay, our second layer, what have we got? Okay, so we're starting to light up the front quarter of the car. So with all these layers, we'll go through the same process, which is we'll create a layer mask, and with the paint bucket tool, we'll fill it black, which gets rid of everything, and then we'll use a brush with a white colour and bring through the bits of the image that we want. So we will steadily do that for each of the images. I do have to remember to pull the background layer below it each time, otherwise you won't see the change. So I'll show you this first layer, and then I'll do the others quite quickly. So you can see the front bumper, the wing, the mirror is all good. I don't want the light obviously in the shocks, that will look really weird. Okay, so we've got a white brush, we're on the mask, and we'll just start painting in this wing. As you can see, it's quite gentle with a 23% exposure. It doesn't bring it through in one big hit, and we can control that quite well. And I'm just holding shift and clicking on the layer mask to enable and disable it. I can see a bit around the front grille and this line in the middle of the bonnet that I want to bring through. So I'll just pull those through with this brush. And that may be all I take from this layer. I'm tempted to take this bottom piece of the bumper actually. I quite like that. And that'll likely get replaced by a subsequent layer later. But if I see a bit that I like, I will pull it through. So every time I finish adding a new layer, I select the base layer and the layer I've edited, right click and merge visible. And that leaves me with one image that's developing, and then I pull the next layer in and do it again. Okay, so we've ended up with essentially two images. One that's a white light, and one, if we turn all these layers on, is a blue light image, which I've never done before, but I quite like that. Okay, so two images, quite different. I'm going to keep quite a wide field of view on the white one. I'll start by keeping in all of the factory in the background. Just going to do a quick shadows and highlights and see if we can make those cylinders a bit more visible. Okay, and tone down maybe the lights a little bit. I might just grab one of the images with a less bright light and pull that in next. So looking at that, I'd like to see a bit more punch in the yellow ladder here. So I'm going to go to, in fact, I'll duplicate the layer just in case I don't like this, and image adjustments, vibrance and saturation. I'll punch the vibrance up, looking at that ladder, and then a little bit of saturation, watching the car mainly now. Okay, 35 and 28. Okay, so I do want the car to be the focal point. and there's a danger that it gets lost in this image. So if we were to do a crop along these lines, just seeing what that would look like, that might be okay. I'll just pull the black point up a little bit, so I'm going to go to levels, Control L, and see if I can tweak that black point. So it loses the canisters, makes the foreground where the headlights hit stand out. I think I'm okay with that, so I'm going to bump that up to 9. And then let's have a look at the blue one. So this is a bit more wacky. So I'm going to keep the whole scene, and I'm going to see what I can do with that car. So this is me playing more than anything. So I've bumped the shadows up 12% to bring up the canisters behind. The highlights I've taken down a bit. I'm seeing how far I can take them. So that's 57% down. Color correction. Yeah, I'm going to bump that up a bit. So we're at plus 62. And what I might do is just do a quick selective color and look at the blues and see if we can tweak that, because they are quite in your face. Okay, so I think I'm happy with that. The reflection, the light on the floor is the thing I'm less happy with. So I'll use the burn tool, and I'll go for mid-tones, and I'll just try and pull those down a bit because they are a bit bold. I'm just going to auto color, which is pulling some yellow out, and that looks nicer. Just see if we can bump curves with Control M for curves at the bottom end. Okay, I'll try that as a blue processed image. And I'm just going to have a quick look at both of those again. I think they're not too bad actually as pictures. I'll ping those over to Phil, get some feedback from him, see which he likes, and we may tweak these further. But I do quite like those pictures. Okay, so we did a white and a blue version of the shot. The white one's the preference, and I did a narrow view and a wide view, and the wide view is the preference. So this is the one we're going to go for. I'm going to start with a light crop. I'm going to pull it in and keep the canisters and the car. I'm going to lose a little bit of the foreground. And then I'm just going to do a shadows and highlights to bump that up. Okay, so just want to be able to see what's going on behind. I will try and tone down that light a bit with highlights. It's a bit better. And I'm going to boost the vibrance and saturation. So I actually don't want the car's vibrance to go up. So I'll quickly select the car. Okay, then I'll select the inverse. And let's see if we can boost our vibrance in the background. That's better. That's up plus 70. The yellow of the ladder really comes out then. Okay, and then deselect. Okay, that's fine. This light's a bit too blown out actually. I kind of wish I'd toned that down a little bit. I could pull some bits from other pictures through, I guess. So this is the dullest background I've got. So we'll just drop that over the top of it. So that's pasted in as another layer. And then we'll just have a quick look at lining those up. I do like the shadows cast on the floor here by this fence. I think that looks nice. Before, after. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so we'll quickly merge those together. Right click on both of them and merge. I'm going to have a play with the saturation again. And I'm really watching the car because it can tolerate a bit. Okay, so before, after. I do prefer that. I think I can pull some more out the background as well. So I'm going to get curves up with Control M. And I'm looking at the lower half of the curve, and I'll pull down the top half of the curve. Okay, so again, before, after. With that one, I think I preferred the before. I like the darker moodiness of the the metal around this. Okay, the image does look a little green, so I'm just going to pull up curves again with Control M, and I'm going to go to the green channel only. I'll just quickly merge those layers. So Alt 4 is the shortcut to get to green. Just pull that down. Okay, so that's made the red really come out, so I'll just have a quick look at pulling the red down slightly. So I don't like this yellow bollard over here. Find that distracting, so I'm going to get rid of that. And it would just be a simple case of clone stamping it out. We'll grab a similar bit of fence. Just join that up. Just removing some of those distractions. We've got quite the rainbow effect on the grass down here now. I think we'll just darken that away with the burn tool. Might darken the sky with a gradient fill. So instead of using the bucket tool, if you press and hold, you can choose the gradient tool and pull down the sky a bit. Okay, the yellow line here is a bit distracting as well. I'm going to lose that with a clone stamp. So we've got a few hot pixels here. This is where you've taken long exposures, and the camera's just giving you a false coloured pixel. It's very common, especially in astro photography. So we just clone stamp some of those away. Just have a look at the sky. Yeah, there's quite a bit of pixelation in there. I'm just going to smooth that out. I'm going to do that with, so I'm going to use the smudge tool, quite a big brush. 50% strength is fine. And I'm just going to sort of back and forth and go for a bigger brush than that. I'm just going to sort of blur this sky a little bit so it's not so noisy. I'll have a quick look at selective colour, see if anything adds value. Okay, so before and after. I think that's a lot cleaner actually. Pulled out a bit of coloration from the image. So we'll give it a quick sharpen. Won't need a lot. 90% 0.9 is fine. I think I'll probably call that the final image. So I decided the light was too bright after all, and I used the clone stamp tool quite liberally to get rid of this and the sunburst effect that I had on it. I quite liked the light effect, but it was just too overpowering in the image. So I spent a bit of time sort of pulling that out from the various parts of the image where it was invading. And the final change was a crop. I decided to go in a bit closer in the end. So I hope you enjoyed that one, guys. It was a different shoot this evening, something I've never done before, so I quite enjoyed that one. And it's nice to work with Phil on a collaboration. If you enjoyed that content, please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you at the next one.